want you to picture this for a second. Dave Chappelle walks onto a stage in Washington, D.C., the bluest crowd imaginable. He comes in hot. He says he's mad. He's ready to fight. The audience thinks that they know exactly where this is going, and then he pauses. Dave Chappelle, he looks around. He says something that makes the entire room feel a little uncomfortable. The city looks clean. Not better, not improving, clean. That one word detonated the entire narrative because suddenly the thing that everyone was told to fear, the National Guard, law enforcement, order, was standing right there in plain sight, working. And here's where it gets real. While Dave Chappelle is on stage accidentally validating the very argument that Trump has been making for years, the system outside that theater is scrambling. Courts step in, judges intervene, the Supreme Court blocks Trump's National Guard deployment, not because it failed, but because it worked. This is the moment that Dave Chappelle did not expect. The moment that the joke stops being funny. The moment Trump's "the system is rigged" line stops sounding like comedy and starts sounding like a warning. Well, tonight, folks, we're going to connect the dots, connect comedy to the courts, punchlines to power, and the exact uh-oh realization that just hit when President Trump is proven right and the system rushes to shut it down. Stick with me, guys, because this gets a little uncomfortable real fast. Also, make sure you're subscribed to the channel. I really do appreciate your support. You guys are absolutely amazing. Dave Chappelle opens that set the same way every liberal audience expects him to. He tells them that he's mad. He tells them that he's ready to fight. He sets the emotional table so that basically everyone in the room thinks, okay, here we go, right? We're about to tear Trump apart. And that is when Dave Chappelle does something dangerous. He tells the truth. He says he drove through Washington, D.C., and the city looked clean. Not spun, not hedged, not cleaner for now, just clean. You can almost feel the air leave the room because that one word doesn't match the narrative that these people live on. DC is supposed to be under siege. Law enforcement is supposed to be the problem. Order is supposed to be oppression. But Chappelle didn't say it as a political argument. He just said it as an observation. And that's why it hits so hard, because when reality slips out before ideology can react, it exposes something uncomfortable. Maybe the thing that they've been told to fear is the very thing that's actually working. You don't say. So then Dave Chappelle lands the part that the audience really wasn't ready for. He explains why the city looked the way it did, the National Guard. And at first, the crowd starts cheering because they think he's about to criticize Trump for deploying them. They hear the setup, and then they assume that the punchline is coming in their favor. Classic mistake. So Dave Chappelle talks about the Guard in DC, then the Guard in Ohio, then the hypocrisy kicks in, right? When Trump does it, they hate it. When their own governors do it, suddenly it's necessary. The audience realized too late, but they've been cheering for enforcement, the very thing that they've been trained to oppose. Chappelle doesn't raise his voice. He doesn't need to. The contradiction does all the work for him. This is the moment the joke stops being abstract because it isn't about Trump anymore. It's about them. And you can feel the shift, laughter turning into silence. This is where Dave Chappelle becomes dangerous, not because he's political, but because he's honest before people are ready to be, all right? He doesn't argue like a pundit. He doesn't lecture like a politician. He just states what he sees, and then he lets the audience catch up later. This is exactly what legacy media refuses to do. They wait for the approved framing. They wait for the spin. They wait until the narrative is safe. Dave Chappelle doesn't wait. He says the city looks clean, lets it land, and only then explains why. But by the time the audience realizes what he's saying, it's already too late to boo without booing reality itself. This is the same reason Trump broke through in the first place. You see, Trump didn't sanitize his message. He just said things out loud that everyone quietly knew but weren't allowed to admit. And once those words are spoken, you can't unhear them. Comedy kind of does that better than politics ever could. It smuggles truth past the defenses. Any Dave Chappelle fans watching, drop a Dave down below for all the Chappelle fans. Now, this is exactly where this conversation stops being abstract. I mean, there's a moment everyone has. Usually it's late at night when the noise dies down and you're left alone with one honest question. If something breaks in the system, am I actually prepared? I mean, not politically, not emotionally, I'm talking financially. Because what we're watching right now, court stepping in, narratives shifting, rules changing mid-game, that's not chaos. That's uncertainty. This is why I partner with Noble Gold Investments. They're not selling panic. They're not making predictions. They help you prepare for reality. Noble Gold shows you how to move a portion of your IRA or 401k into physical gold and silver, real assets that you actually own, outside of the paper promises that everyone else just assume are going to hold up. You see, most people don't even need convincing. Once they see how straightforward and easy it is, they say, yeah, that makes sense. This is why so many Americans right now are calling the phone number at the bottom of your screen, 877-646-5347, or they're visiting RonYatesGold.com. There's a link down below. Click that link, download your free wealth protection kit, because peace of mind doesn't come from pretending everything's fine. It comes from knowing that you're ready. Now, here's the part that no one can ignore in 2025. Donald Trump isn't campaigning on law and order anymore. He's governing with it. And what Dave Chappelle accidentally confirmed on that stage is the exact outcome that Trump promised. When enforcement returns, chaos retreats. No press conference needed, no White House spin, just a cleaner city noticed by a comedian who didn't even want to notice it. That's the key, guys. You see, Trump didn't theorize this from a think tank. He just executed it. Boots on the ground, guards deployed, laws enforced, and before the court stepped in, people felt the difference. This is why this moment matters so much, because it proves Trump's argument wasn't ideological, it was operational. And once people experience order again, the system has a problem on its hands. Because now the question isn't whether it works, it's why it keeps getting stopped. And right on cue, the system moves. So as President Trump deploys the National Guard to restore order, the Supreme Court steps in and blocks it, citing constitutional limits and jurisdictional authority. And notice what's missing from that explanation. They never say it failed. They don't argue that the streets got worse. They don't claim crime increased. They don't deny the visible improvement people were already talking about. Instead, the argument shifts away from results and toward process. This is how the system protects itself. When something doesn't work, they mock it. When something works too well, they stop it. This is why this moment lands so hard against Dave Chappelle's joke, because while he's on stage admitting the city looks better, the institutions outside that theater are saying that cannot continue. Not because it's unjust, but because it changes expectations. Order becomes normal again, and that threatens narratives built on perpetual chaos. So this is the exact moment that Trump was talking about years ago. He said, I know the system is rigged because I use it. I love when he said that. Drop a yes down below if you guys remember when Trump said that back in the day. Well, back then, people laughed. Dave Chappelle laughed. The audience laughed. But in 2025, nobody's laughing anymore, because now we're watching it happen in real time. Trump enforces the law, order improves, and the system doesn't debate the outcome. It blocks the action. That's not coincidence. That's resistance. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. See, Dave Chappelle's joke suddenly carries a different weight. What sounded like comedy now sounds like confirmation. The system doesn't fight failure, it fights success that disrupts control. This is where the uh-oh moment starts to form toggle. Because if enforcement works and the courts stop it, then the problem isn't the crime. It's who gets to decide how much order is allowed. This is the moment you don't hear on the laugh track, but you feel it. Chappelle doesn't announce a political conversion. He doesn't praise Trump. He doesn't change sides. He just pauses. Because once you say the city looks clean, and once you admit the guard was there, and once you realize the audience can't argue with what their own eyes see, the jokes just stop being theoretical. This is the uh-oh moment. Not panic, not anger, recognition. The city improved. The city stepped in to stop it. And suddenly, the contradiction isn't funny anymore. It just kind of hangs there. Dave Chappelle's strength has always been that he follows truth wherever it leads, even when it makes his own crowd uncomfortable. This is why the room goes quiet, because nobody wants to say it out loud, but everyone understands what just happened. Trump's argument didn't collapse, it materialized. Chappelle makes another observation that cuts just as deep. When the protests hit DC, who's actually in the streets? Not people dealing with the crime, not the families affected by disorder, but white, affluent activists shouting, "Not on our streets." That line lands because it exposes the power dynamic. These protests aren't about safety, they're about control of the narrative. The people loudest in opposition are often the least affected by the consequences of the chaos itself. Look, Dave Chappelle, he calls it out without naming names, and the audience knows exactly who he's talking about because they're sitting right there. This is where the class divide shows itself. Residents want order, elites want moral authority, activists want visibility. And Trump's enforcement threatens all three narratives at once, because once order returns, the protest economy doesn't dry up. And suddenly, the loudest voices aren't speaking for the people anymore. So this is where the fight leaves the streets and enters the system, because once enforcement starts working, the debate quietly changes. It's no longer about crime. It's no longer about safety. It's about authority. Who gets the final say? Trump acts as president, the guard deploys, order improves, and then the courts intervene, not to dispute the outcome, but to assert control over the process. This is the pattern. The action happens fast. Results show up immediately. Then the system slows everything down and mucks everything up. Paperwork replaces patrols, injunctions replace enforcement, and suddenly the conversation isn't about cleaner streets, it's about constitutional theory. That's why people feel whiplash. They see improvement with their own eyes, but they're told it can't continue. And when citizens start asking why, well, they're accused of not understanding the law. Yeah, sure. This is the tension, guys, because, lived experience is colliding with institutional authority, and the courts, well, they're just choosing power over outcomes. And this right here, this is where the system gets people. I mean, not with the headlines, not with speeches, but with the technicalities. Now, I'm gonna give you a real example. A man sent in a medical claim, assuming it was covered. No warnings, no red flags. It wasn't covered. His Medicare plan denied it based on some technical detail that he'd never even heard of. That denial cost him $487, I'll tell you that much. But more than that, it cost him his peace, because suddenly he's not asking, did I do something wrong? He's asking, what else don't I know that I'm about to get burned on next? This is why I partner with Chapter, guys. Chapter helps you avoid denied claims by reviewing your Medicare coverage for hidden gaps before the system uses those gaps against you. No pressure, no selling, just clarity, and it's totally free. So this is why so many people are calling right now. The phone number at the bottom of your screen, 909-563-8279, or they're clicking the link down below, askchapter.org/Ron. Click the link now, get some help from my friends at Chapter, because when the system runs on fine ink, knowing where the traps are matters more than ever. Now, I want you to watch how the exact same pattern shows up everywhere else. Trump's administration moves to cut off federal support for transgender medical procedures for minors. Now, immediately the language changes. It's not framed as parental rights. It's not framed as child protection. It's framed as a moral emergency. And once again, Trump acts and institutions rush to block, delay, or reframe. This is not even about whether you agree with Trump or not. It's about recognizing the sequence. Trump moves, the system resists, the media reframes. Just like with the National Guard, just like with law enforcement. And suddenly, comedy, courts, and culture are all pointing to the same thing. Policy outcomes don't matter as much as those who are allowed to make them. So Dave Chappelle's jokes about the culture war weren't random, they were observational. He sensed the tension before it became policy, and that tension is official, and it's everywhere. So this is where everything converges. Dave Chappelle's jokes, Trump's enforcement policies, the court stepping in, the media reframing, this ain't random, it's a pattern. Dave Chappelle goes after sacred cows in comedy and gets labeled dangerous. Trump enforces laws and gets labeled authoritarian. Different arenas, same reaction. Unelected institutions step forward claiming neutrality while enforcing cultural boundaries. That's the real culture war, guys. It's not left versus right. It's not red versus blue, but who decides what's allowed and who gets to shut down when results change the narrative. Now, comedy used to be the pressure valve. Now, even that's being policed. Chappelle survives because he's uncancelable, but the backlash tells you everything you need to know. Trump's presidency in 2025 didn't create this tension. It exposed it. The moment order, limits, or reality return, the system scrambles to contain it. That's why this moment feels explosive, because control is slipping and everyone knows it. So let's end where this really began. Years ago, Donald Trump said something that sounded outrageous at the time. I know the system is rigged because I use it. Even Dave Chappelle laughed at that one. But in 2025, that line doesn't land as comedy anymore. It lands as context. Trump enforces the law, cities improve, the courts shut it down, Trump draws boundaries in culture, the system intervenes, the media reframes. And suddenly, the question isn't whether Trump is right, it's whether the system can tolerate him being right. That's the uh-oh moment that Chappelle stumbled onto on that stage. Not a conversion, not an endorsement, just a realization that when reality intrudes, ideology panics. So I'm gonna leave y'all with this question that now hangs over everything. If enforcement works, why does the system keep stopping it? Makes you wonder, right? Like, subscribe. We'll see you guys next time.